If you just started looking into getting an aquarium, or if you're a seasoned veteran, you might be wondering, what are the best fish out there for me to get? Well, there's no answer for what's the best fish, because that's something you have to answer for yourself after keeping fish and finding out what you like, what you don't like, and what fish give you nightmares. So I can't tell you what the best fish are, but I can give you a list of the most popular fish. Fish that you'll see in pretty much every fish store out there. Because let's face it, fish stores want to bring in fish that are going to sell. They don't want to bring them in just because they like them. So sit back and relax. Here is our list of the most popular freshwater aquarium fish. Oh, and just so you're aware, we're going to do this list a little bit differently. We're going to put them in the order that we believe are the most popular fish. You may disagree, and that's totally fine. If you do, put your list of what you believe are the most popular fish down in the comments below. Let's get started.
Plakers are fish that you'll see in almost every beginner fish keeper's tank. Is it because they're the most amazing, wonderful fish in the whole world? No, it's because they think they need them. New fish keepers walk around the pet store looking at fish, and plakers are one of those fish that they say, "Oh, yeah, we gotta get one of those to clean the tank." So the reason they're popular is because they do help clean the tank. But what you really need to know, especially if you're a beginner, is they also make a huge mess. All plakers are going to scavenge around your aquarium looking for food, but the type of food they'll eat is totally going to depend on what placo you buy. Smaller and citrus placos like bristlenose will eat algae, flakes, pellets, and they'll even munch on driftwood if you have it in there. But the common placo isn't going to go after algae as much as you think it will, which is funny because so many people call them algae eaters. Do your research before buying a placo. They all pretty much look the same when they're small, but they're very different as they get larger. Plus the commons get huge, so you don't want to put one of those in a 20-gallon or smaller.
Hey, listen, Oscars are not on this list simply because I want them to be. In fact, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I put this list together and sent it over to my buddy Mark, who's the owner of Aquariums Unlimited in Virginia Beach. Because if anybody would know what the most popular fish are, it would be him, right? Well, the list I sent him did not have Oscars on it. And he was like, you think you're going to put together a list of the most popular fish and not have Oscars on them? This list is wrong. So Oscars are on the list because they're popular, not because I want them to be. Oscars are popular for a lot of reasons. First is they're cute, especially when they're young because it's almost like their eyes are too big for their heads. Next is they have very interesting color splashes on them depending on what type you get. And the best thing of all, the thing that sold me on them back in 1993 and I've loved them ever since, it's their personality. You hear them called water puppies, and there's a good reason for that. When you walk up to the tank, they come up to the glass and greet you. They'll eat out of your hands, and if they don't feel like they're getting enough attention, they'll go and lay and sulk in the corner. All the things that dogs do. Owning an Oscar is absolutely like owning a dog. I've had them all my life and can honestly tell you I haven't had any other fish that I've connected with as much. Yes, they can be troublemakers at times, but the good far outweighs the bad. Just make sure you do right by them because they deserve it. I'd like to tell you a minimum of a 125-gallon tank for an Oscar. But listen, if all you can afford is a 75, I ain't gonna be mad at you.
The very first tank I ever set up was for an arowana, and I added discus to it later on. But my second tank that I set up back in 2009 was for angels. Platinum angels to be exact, and I don't even need to tell you why. Just look at them. If you don't think that's a gorgeous fish, I don't know what's wrong with you. They're available in a bunch of different varieties like koi, marble, black lace, and my favorites, the platinums, which are super silver, almost white color. Angels will pretty much get along with any fish in the tank. You'll just want to stay away from fish like tiger barbs that are known for being fin nippers. They might chew on those dangly things, and obviously really big fish that can eat them. Just understand that if you get a group of angels, there might be a couple that decide to breed. And if they do, they can get pretty nasty. But other than that, you really don't have to worry about the angels bothering any other fish in the tank. I definitely recommend a minimum of a 29-gallon aquarium, but if I have to be honest, a 55-gallon would be better because, you know, bigger is always better. My goodness, go ahead, just do it.
That's what she said!
There's a good chance when you were at the fish store for the first time looking at fish, Platies were one of the first fish you saw. Platies are in every fish store, in every town, in every state in America, and I'd assume it's the same overseas. Why? Well, it's simple. They're a smaller fish that can fit in most size aquariums, they're available in a bunch of color varieties, and I don't know any other way of saying this, but they're freaking adorable. Platies are available in almost every color, like red, orange, yellow, white, and some are multicolored, and the coolest one of all of them are the ones that have Mickey Mouse ears on their tails. These can be found under the label, well, you guessed it, Mickey Mouse Platies. I've never once heard a story about a platy being mean. They get along with everything else in the tank. They'll eat pretty much anything you put in there. They're active all day long, and they're live bears. And that's cool. Maybe you're new to fish keeping and don't really know what live bearer means. Well, this means instead of laying eggs, which eventually hatch into fry, live bearers give birth to free swimming fry. They just pop out and swim away and start living their best life. This is really cool because who doesn't love free fish? But I have to caution you, platies, like any other live bearer, can breed so much, you end up with a little more than you can handle. I'm going to be talking about another live bearer as we go on in this list that we've had this exact problem with. And for us, it's not a problem because we have the tanks that we can spread them out and keep them all and put them all over the place. But if you just have one aquarium, this can get out of control really fast. But don't let that scare you away from platies or any live bear for that matter. If you don't give them a try, you're really missing out.
Mollies are another fish that you're going to see in almost every fish store. They're similar to platies, like everything John just said, but I'm going to talk about them anyway. There are differences though. Mollies get considerably larger than platies, and they can do something that's totally unique that I'm not sure any other fish can do, and that's acclimate themselves to brackish or even full salt water. If you're unfamiliar with brackish water, this is basically a mixture of fresh and salt water. It's water that has half the salinity of seawater. Mollies have been known for doing very well in this kind of water and can even transition to full salt water, but to be honest, we've never done this and I'm not even sure why you would. I guess if you're keeping brackish water fish like archer fish and you want some tank mates, you could put some mollies in there. But the thing is, they'll do best in regular fresh water, so don't mess around with all that. Keep the water fresh and watch them thrive. Some of the articles you'll read about mollies will tell you they'll be okay in a 20-gallon. I guess this is fine, but I'm going to recommend the best, which would be a 29-gallon. And if you want my personal recommendations on what mollies to get, look at sailfin, Dalmatians, and lyre-tails. And just so you know, mollies are live bears too.
Okay, we just got done telling you about two super popular live bears, and now we're going to talk about a third. And the best way to describe this one is if you take a platy and you combine it with a molly, and then you make a big spiky thing that comes out of their tail, ladies and gentlemen, I give you swordtails. Once again, these are very similar to the other two in that they're very colorful, super peaceful, and they're live bears. The biggest thing that separates them, mollies, and platies is the sword, but just know the sword's only on the males. If I'm being honest, female swordtails just look like platies, but that's okay because they're still a bright, colorful, and active fish that'll fit right in with the nice community of fish. Which brings me to my next point about all three of the live bears that we've just talked about. All of these are going to do much better in groups. Mollies, platies, and swordtails are generally peaceful fish that won't cause any problems. But, just like with humans, the males have a potential to screw things up for everyone. Let's take swordtails for example. You buy 2 or 3 of the males because you want the fancy tail. Well, those males could possibly fight each other if there's not a female around. I personally haven't experienced that, but I'm telling you this to make a point. Don't just buy 1 or 2. Get a nice group of them. You'll be glad you did.
Okay, first things first. We're combining Cardinal and Neon Tetras because they look pretty similar and honestly people get them confused anyway. I promise at the end of this segment I'm going to tell you the easiest way to tell them apart. Cardinal and Neon Tetras are fish that I'm willing to bet every person that's ever kept a fish tank has kept at least once in their life. They're a perfect complement to so many community fish and also some cichlids with obvious exceptions. If you think when I say they can mix with cichlids, I'm saying you can put them with Oscars and red devils, well, you're wrong. Very wrong. No, I mean cichlids like discus and angels. These are cichlids that for the most part leave other fish alone and their mouths are so small, there really aren't many fish that could fit in them. But it's not just cichlids. Cardinals and neons mix well with any peaceful community fish, and they add in that pop of color and activity. One of the coolest things to see is a large tank with some larger community fish and a huge school of cardinals or neons going back and forth. I swear it'll put you in a trance. These fish also stay super small. They're some of the smallest in the hobby, so any tank you have from 5 gallons and up can hold a nice group of them. And telling the two apart is simple. They're both blue and red fish, but the neons have a blue head and red tail, while the cardinals are blue on top and red on the bottom.
Okay, guppies are a fish that Lisa really should be the one talking to you about, but if you know anything about this channel, when you see the next fish on the list, you're gonna know exactly why I had to take this one. What can I say about guppies? They're another example of a fish that if you haven't kept them, you haven't truly experienced this hobby. They're a fun, energetic, colorful little live bear that provide you with plenty of motion in the tank. Won't give you any problems and can tolerate a lot of the mistakes new fish keepers make. Some people in our comment section have talked about their frustrations with guppies, saying they've struggled to keep them. I just can't relate to this. We've kept guppies in every kind of condition imaginable, and they've not only done well, but they've thrived and bred like crazy. In fact, Lisa and I are experiencing a gupocalypse as we speak. Gupocalypse. I just came up with that off the top of my head. Last summer, Lisa and I had the privilege of welcoming Diana Walstead into our home and fish house. If you're unfamiliar with Diana, she's the author of The Ecology of the Planted Aquarium, which is a must-read for anyone interested in planted aquariums. I'll put a link to her book in the description. Diana is an absolute legend in the aquarium hobby whose techniques have been adopted by fish keepers all over the world, and when she came to our place, she brought with her a couple of little friends. 2 female guppies. Lisa just calls them Diana's guppies. When she gave these guppies to Lisa, she said, they're definitely pregnant, so you can expect a few babies out of them. A few. Try hundreds. I've never seen anything like this in over 30 years of fish keeping. It started with them popping out maybe a dozen or so in their 15-gallon tank. Then another dozen, then another, and another. These ladies wouldn't stop, and not long after that, the babies started having babies. It's total madness. Here we are 6 months later, and we have 7 tanks that are full of Diana's guppies, and one of them is a 100-gallon stock tank that probably has 300 of them in there. I swear, I don't know what it is about Diana Walstead, but her male guppies must have like Kryptonian sperm in them or something.
Betas, yes. Now you know why John took the segment on guppies. And by the way, would you like some? If you know anything about me, you know that I'm obsessed with plants, cats, and betas. I can't get enough of these fish, and it's for obvious reasons. They're small, so they don't take up a huge tank in your home. They're available in about 1 million different varieties. Plus, if you go back to what John said about Oscar's personalities, well, you're gonna get that with a beta too, just in a much smaller, less destructive package. In my opinion, betas and guppies are not only two of the most popular fish, but they're also two fish that I think are perfect for beginners. This is because most fish keepers are going to start off with a smaller tank that requires smaller fish. Well, what's more perfect than a beta or some guppies? There's a misconception that because betas are called Siamese fighting fish, that they can't be with any other fish. But that's not true. They can be with other tank mates, just not other betas. You can actually mix a beta with almost all of those fish we talked about today. Guppies, platies, mollies, swordtails, bristlenose plecos, and yes, even angels. Obviously, you're not going to want to mix them with Oscars. I mean, let's use some common sense. But the others should be fine. We have a whole playlist of videos just about betas, and if you're interested, just click up here somewhere and you'll see all of them. Also, the promo code BETA is still active for 10% off our website, keepfishkeeping.com. Just enter BETA at checkout when you're buying your plants, fish food, or any other supplies you need.
If you've been watching this whole video and didn't know that goldfish were going to be number one, I don't know what to say. It should be obvious. It's an absolute no-brainer that goldfish are the most popular fish in the hobby. They're everywhere, and with good reason. They're super easy to keep, have the silliest, derpiest personality of any fish, and they're available in all different colors and sizes. There's a downside though. With them being so popular, this also means they are absolutely the most abused. I can't tell you how many comments we've seen on our channel from people saying, I keep fancy goldfish in a 1-gallon bowl with no filter and it's perfectly fine. I just change the water when it gets cloudy and the fish is happy. Or they'll say goldfish are such huge waste producers that living in water with high ammonia is normal to them. Yes, they're big waste producers and can tolerate a lot, but that doesn't give you the right to commit animal abuse. If you want to see your goldfish thrive, put them in a 55-gallon tank or larger. I know that might seem ridiculous to some, but the thing is, even fancy goldfish that are smaller get way bigger than you think. Yeah, they're not tank busters like some big cichlids are, but these fish get really big. Even those little feeder fish that you can buy for 10 cents a piece are going to eventually grow to a foot long. So give them a big tank, keep their water clean, and this will be one of the best fish you've ever kept. And spoiler alert, Lisa and I are going to be putting our money where our mouth is and setting the example for this in a big way very soon. You are absolutely not going to want to miss that. Make sure you're subscribed. So there you go, the 10 fish that we believe are the most popular fish in the hobby. And guess what? There's 3 more fish that just barely missed making it on this list. And if you want to see those, click the join button down below, become a channel member, and you're going to get bonus videos every single Sunday that tie in with our list videos. Also, don't forget to use the code BETA at checkout at keepfishkeeping.com. Get you 10% off of your entire order. Everything on the site, 10% off. Buy one of everything and you'll get 10% off all of it. You can't lose. We're giving you that simply for making it to the end of this video, or at least to Lisa's segment where she talked about that. But anyway, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again next week. See ya.